here today to see this beautiful ship come to life. Queen Anne will exude classic Cunard style, but she'll also showcase some considered new design touches, experiences and venues for our guests.
I'm so excited to welcome everybody on board to see our ship and show the Queen Anne off. To be the first captain of Queen Anne is just such an honour. I'm so immensely proud. I'm so looking forward to seeing how Queen Anne is going to be welcomed in every port, by our guests, by everyone. There's such a huge interest. The guests can expect to experience the same White Star service as they're getting on the other Queens. The luxury, the freedom, the elegant environment, but still with a new design which takes us to the future. I think it's going to be an amazing journey for our guests coming on. First time taking Queen Anne out to sea will just be a magical moment, and it will be such an historic moment. Our fourth Queen, it's all complete.
Wow. That was some rockin' music from Cunard right there. Wow.
How about that?
I'm so excited tonight. I'll tell you what, I'm really, really excited to have you here, Mark, because it doesn't get much more iconic in the cruising world than Cunard. I mean, right? Right?
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Look, folks, I know I get a lot of questions about Cunard, and there's a lot of myths out there that even I have fallen prey to. So I'm really glad that Mark's going to be here tonight. Folks, if you're new to the channel, I'm Walter, your independent travel advisor, and we bring to you cruises, luxury, land, expedition. And tonight we are so excited to have Mark joining us from Cunard. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I was so grateful when you reached out and very excited for the opportunity to be able to talk to all of your viewers about what our brand is, some of the misconceptions, the exciting things that we offer, and just really about the industry in general. I'm here to help. I want to be a great resource and do whatever I can. It's really great to see everyone here. So thank you very much for allowing me to participate.
Awesome, my friend. And this is what I love about being a travel advisor. Folks are seeing it firsthand. You know, Mark is my connection at Cunard. And, you know, when I have questions or I have things that I need to do, Mark is the guy that I'm going to reach out to. And folks, if you've got questions about Cunard, please do drop them into please drop them into the comment, and we will do our very best to answer them. Hey, Rick is
here.
Can
I ask a question? Can I ask a question to the crowd?
Can you ask a question? Go for it.
I have my first trivia question already. So, if for those folks who were able to see the introductory video, our Captain Torhauga is, of course, we're very proud to have a female captain. Can anyone name the country she is from? One of my sort of, hidden secrets is I love languages and I love learning languages, and I've actually studied her native language. Does anyone in the comments have a sense or a guess of where she may be from?
Now, what was her name again?
Captain Inger Torhauga.
Wow. Okay, I've got to guess, but I'm going to let folks. I'll let folks do it. But I think I have an idea. But let's just wait. Let's just wait.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm wondering how many folks are going to be going, Googling, checking away, searching.
No Googling, no Googling, no Googling. You just got to guess. Come on, that's cheating. But great to see everybody. Thanks so much for joining in. So let's just start off, Mark. So who are you, and what do you do for the company, and maybe explain to the folks some of how we work together.
Well, hi, I'm Mark. I'm a Pisces. I was born in Minnesota.
You're a Pisces. So am I.
Well, how about that? It makes it easy to get along with, you, yourself, and I. There's always a few of us in the room, aren't there?
Right.
Even by ourselves. I do live in the New York City area now, and I have spent most of my professional life in the travel industry. I started as cabin crew or a flight attendant for a major airline, which is kind of how I got interested in all those languages. And then also worked in a sales capacity with this major airline. Spent a little bit of time in some other industries. I worked for the television industry, for a record label, an advertising agency, and came back to travel. That passion really keeps us so tied together. I had a very fortunate opportunity to become a travel advisor myself for a while. I wanted to, step out into that world of providing, detailed insights for the traveling public, which is so important in the travel advisor or travel agent's role. And while I was at an event, I spoke to the representative from Cunard, who happened to be retiring, Miss Alicia Oliphant. And it was just, great fortune. And she said, "Hey, do you have a resume? Send it." And that's how I came to this wonderful, wonderful brand and this wonderful industry. Awesome. However, I ask everyone, please be nice, because I'm still learning. Even after 14 months, I'm getting stuff, but there might be a few things that I might need to check up and get back to y'all on. So
right. I love it. Kind of sounds familiar too, because I got into travel agency because I met a travel agent on a ship 2 years ago, and that's just there I am. Now I'm here. So
and quickly building a business, and really great job with how quickly you've been able to grow through reaching out, providing information, and being a resource. That's really, really the key to what you do and the value that you provide.
I appreciate that. And I do see that we have a question about, renovations and upgrades. That's not really something Mark is going to be privy to. There will be a dry dock schedule that's posted somewhere. So if you want to know when the ships are going to be upgraded or renovated, just go find Cruise Industry News is good for that. They usually have a dry dock schedule in there, so you'll be able to see that.
Great.
So Mark, then speaking of the ships, so we got 4 ships now. We got the Queen Anne just rolled out. Can you kind of, for folks who've never been on the ships, can you kind of maybe walk us through either all 4 ships or a little bit about the individual ships, and let us know a little bit about what we should expect when we come on?
Absolutely. Well, we have a fairly consistent fleet. We don't have a really large variety. We started until recently, we had 3 ships, and the crown jewel of our fleet is, of course, the Queen Mary 2. People say, "Oh, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Mary, QE2, all these things." QE2 has been retired and is in a diedrock and serves, sort of a museum hotel kind of purpose. But Queen Mary 2 is the only purpose-built ocean liner, which makes her exceptional for that bucket list item of doing a transatlantic crossing. Yeah. So everyone loves those transatlantic crossings. It's 7 days at sea, but it's like 7 days at summer camp for adults. There are arts and crafts and entertainment and so many things to do. And Queen Elizabeth, I'm sorry, Queen Mary II, I better not confuse this myself. Queen Mary II herself, as the only scheduled ocean liner, she has thicker hulls. Her hull is 40% thicker. She has a longer bow to really steer through the waves. And the way that she's built, the bridge is higher to be able to see over that longer bow. She has many things about her. I think one of the most important for anyone who's not sure about cruising or might be new to cruising, they say, oh, am I going to get seasick? Will I be able to handle it? Queen Mary II has 3 stabilizers. Most cruise ships are built with just a flat bottom, and they're kind of meant to sail calmer waters in the Caribbean and some other areas. But Queen Mary II is built for those transatlantic crossings, and 15, 17-foot swells are nothing to Queen Mary II. Queen Mary II just gliding through. And another tip that I'll say is that anyone who worries about that, you want to focus on location, and you want to be in a midship stateroom. Or so. That's one part of our fleet. So Queen Mary II is again that queen, crowning gem of our fleet. We also have Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth. They are sister ships, and all of our ships hold between 2,100 to 2,900 guests on board. Nice. And I know that we'll get into some of these details, but as a little teaser, we have 2-to-1 passenger to crew ratio.
What?
So yeah, we have a crew member for every 2 guests on board. That's a part.
That's almost like luxury, ultra luxury level right there. Wow, that's impressive.
Almost it is. I don't want to jump ahead too far to what we might be chatting about.
Wow.
But also, then our newest ship is Queen Anne, and she did just launch this past May. And she is beautiful. We had wonderful designers, really top-notch folks that really focused on our ships are. To get back to the original question, our ships we have a 180-year legacy, and all of our ships harken back to the golden age of cruising. Wow. They bring in that Art Deco theme and feel in an updated, more modern setting. And Queen Anne, having just launched in May, has all of the modern, all of our ships have all of the modern conveniences that you would expect. Multiple various plugs. You have UK plugs and US plugs for whatever you may need, and then Queen Anne also has USB ports, which will eventually come on the ship and everything. So we have these 4 ships ranging from 2,100 to 2,900 guests. Those ships of a similar size would have about 4,000 to 4,500 guests. So that's really the key to our fleet and where they go. And of course, another part of that might be where we go. Right. So we are different from the expedition line. So we don't go to the Galapagos, and we don't go to Antarctica, but we go to most other places. We have our world voyages, which usually leave from Southampton. We are based and headquartered in the UK. Okay.
Wow. And I'm going to jump, Alex, we'll get to you shortly because we're going to be talking about food in just a little bit. But Deb actually has an interesting question since you talked about the QM2 Transatlantic.
Yes.
Do you have any kind of I would assume that it kind of skews all over the place because there's like 30 of them or something. There's like a lot of them because, as you said, the QM2 is purpose built just to do this.
We have 21 scheduled transatlantic crossings. There's an eastbound and a westbound. So there are those, and they do tend to operate a majority of the year. Each year, the schedule changes a little bit, but because of Queen Mary II being purpose built for those crossings, she's really pretty much good to go from more or less March until December. And so you'll see also those transatlantic voyages or crossings are sometimes paired with, for instance, going to Norway to see the Northern Lights, or it might be a transatlantic crossing paired with going down to the Caribbean. But the demographic of the crossings, we do, as you say, we get a range of travelers and guests on board with us. Generally with cruise, we generally find, because most of our voyages start at typically around 7 nights and go up to 21 nights, all the way up to 120 nights for our world voyages, more than 4 months. We do get folks that have time to be able to take that much time off. So we do get a retired set. So we do get a good portion of our guests, more than a third might be in their 60s or 70s, but we are always surprised at how vigorous everyone is on board, very active lifestyles. And we also have a lot of, families in their 30s and 40s.
Right.
We have military personnel, for instance, that may be positioning
Oh,
either
wow.
to go to Germany or come back from Germany, because one of the great things about the crossing is you don't have to deal with the challenges of air travel, checking bags, bringing things with you. There's no
I was
limit. You
just
can
going to
bring
say
things.
that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of those opportunities. And we do actually also have children that take the crossings. We have a kid zone, which is separated, not separated, but allows kids to hang out with kids their own age group from age
That's
2
cool.
to age 17. So they meet, hang out with their friends. They are able to learn some of the things. They're excited and have that passion for learning. That's a part of our
Yeah.
brand and more. So,
Oh, absolutely. And I have clients now that I know who have the time, who might be doing something in Europe already, and they're like, "Oh man, I want to go business class, but business class is so." And I'm like, "Have you looked at the Queen Mary 2?"
yeah.
I never even considered that. It's like, well, I can put you on a Queen Mary 2 round trip, and it's like going first class because you've got that white glove service, and you actually end up paying less for that round trip than you do for, say, a business or a first class ticket on a plane. And how much more relaxing is it going on the Queen Mary
Yeah.
2?
Well,
Um,
and it's the jet lag buster, right? No matter which direction you're going, and you're changing 1 hour each day, so
yeah,
it's this gradual change, and you're not
right.
putting your body through. When you're on an airplane, I worked in the industry for many years. It's kind of like going to, I won't say Mount Everest, but it's like going to Denver or
Right,
Mile High or higher, and you're sort of at that rarefied air. You don't get as much oxygen
right.
and things. I do some running and physical fitness. I find that after I've been on a plane for a while, my pace, slows quite a bit from being on a plane, and being on the ship really alleviates a lot of that. It's a really wonderful experience.
Wow, wow. I'm going to guess that you probably don't have an answer for Stephen, who's asking if you think we'll have a replacement for the Queen Mary 2 purpose built. I'm assuming we don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet. It's
Yeah,
not something that's in the plan. She's still very, very, very young. She has a
she's young.
long, long life ahead of her. She's a teenager, she's still very, very young. She's definitely, look at the original, Queen Mary, Queen Elizabeth
Queen Elizabeth.
recently, who, I mean, look at how long her reign lasted.
Right,
So I don't
right.
know if Queen Mary 2 will be at sea quite as long, but
Yeah,
she's still very, very young and has a lot of spirit and many decades ahead of her.
I think so. I think so. And that's the thing, when you take care of a ship, they will give you a good long life. So, and we've kind of been talking about demographics. We've been talking about a few things. And Alex, we will get to the food and entertainment soon. But Cunard, for lack of a better term, can kind of be intimidating when we look at your promos and we see the white gloves and we see, all the perfect, your staff looks absolutely impeccable and amazing. And it's almost like intimidating to some people. Like, I don't know if I belong here. But what is your vibe? What is the overall experience on a Cunard cruise?
Well, it is something that really allows everyone to have more or less what they want. We aren't sandals and flip flops, at night. We aren't, pajamas for your nightcap, unless perhaps you might be one of the groups that loves to dress up like they did in the 1920s and goes in their costumes. But that's a bit different.
Nice.
To say we have 3 brand pillars. It's really important to Cunard that our guests feel special, which is our white glove service. So even though you might see the white gloved attendants, it doesn't require a white glove sort of reception for the guests. This is not necessarily dignitaries at a NATO summit. This is, we recognize that these are our guests that are going on vacation in most cases, or what other purpose it might be.
Right.
So we want our guests to feel special. We want them to be inspired. We have a lot of programming that is meant to inspire. We have a planetarium on Queen Mary 2. We have an insight speaker series. We actually do have a planetarium, a purpose-built planetarium.
Wow. As if
It's
I
really,
needed
really
another
important.
reason to go on the ship. That's awesome.
There you go. As well as when we sail, for instance, to areas like Alaska, we make sure that we integrate speakers who are experts on that area. So being inspired and knowledge is really a part of what drives our folks. And the third pillar of our brand is to enjoy the freedom. And that's what's really important. So to get to the point of the question, when people during the day, everything is casual. There are people walking around in jeans, shorts, whatever it might be. You know, usually tasteful. We're not a spring break brand, so you don't have people with stuff that's, you know, kind of you
Yeah.
would maybe see at Daytona Beach. It's you know, but it's also not so formal. You know, if you live in a community and there's a local swimming pool and people go to the swimming pool, people are going to be dressed the same way. You know, yes,
Right.
you can wear flip-flops. Yes, you can wear slippers during the day. We have a number of venues throughout the ship that are casual all day long.
Gotcha.
And we also have all-day room service. Where the formality comes to play is that our ships and our voyages are a sense of occasion. We give the opportunity, sort of, you know, some people might celebrate Christmas in July, or you have an opportunity we have our gala nights on a 7-night voyage. Every 7 nights, we have a gala ball that we throw on board that allows those guests who want to dress up and really enjoy that sense of occasion to really dress up to the nines. The ladies love to come out in their ball gowns. The men love to come out in their tuxedos or suits. On those gala nights in our formal dining rooms, we do request a suit for gentlemen and you know, dinner attire for women. But those are usually 2 nights every week, and the other nights are business casual. After 6 p.m., we do, again, we want our guests to have the freedom to do what they want to. We have many casual areas on the ship. It's a little bit of a long explanation to really drive home the fact that it's not as intimidating as people think, because the business casual after 6 p.m. in many of the venues, and we also have all casual venues. We have our Lido dining, which is whatever you want. And if you just are feeling like you don't feel like dressing up that night, you just want to hang out, we have free room service. A lot of the other cruise lines and brands may have a charge for room service that's completely free and completely included in your fare, which is a really, really lovely thing. So again, it really comes down to that freedom to do as much or as little as you want to. I know, you know, I sometimes forget that people don't automatically draw the connection that we're a British brand and you have sort of Bridgerton and why am I drawing a blank on the show? The British show from the 1920s that everyone fell in love with, Downton Abbey.
Oh, Downton Abbey, yeah.
So there are a lot of people that love to dress up and go to a costume party. They love to go to a murder mystery party or something like that. And we give the opportunity to be able to engage in that way in a playful kind of, I want to go ballroom dancing and really enjoy that sense of occasion, and also the freedom to just chill out. And people that are dressed in their tuxedos never look down at anyone who's dressed casually. It's just all part of everyone's experience and what they bring to it. So sorry, it's a bit of a long answer, but it is really important to understand that we are playful luxury in that way.
Playful luxury. I like that. So we were going to talk about breaking some myths, but I think you already broke a whole bunch of myths right there. That while we see the white gloves, just don't be intimidated by the white gloves. It just means you're going to get exceptional service. But playful luxury, I love that term. That is fun. That's me. I'm playful luxury all day long. I love it.
There you go. There you go.
I love this. Steve said one of his very first cruises was on board the QM2. How about that? That is truly awesome. I love it. I don't know if you can answer this. Do you happen to know how much alcohol people can bring on board a ship?
That I thought was a fairly standard industry thing where it is quite limited. I think that
bottles,
like the 1 bottle, 2 bottle. I don't know the exact number. And it has less to do with what people might think. They think, oh, it's just a way to get people to buy on board, and it has less to do with that. There are a lot of customs and immigration issues that the airlines, the cruise lines are dealing with, because you're going to different ports and to different areas, and there is an expectation that a ship has an understanding or knowledge of how much alcohol is on board, and then to prevent over serving and things like that, to make sure that everyone is in a safe environment, and various reasons. But so it is generally limited at a level, and that is available on Cunard.com, as well as anyone who books with us. These are clearly spelled out. There's something every one, when they book a cruise, signs a passage contract. And unlike the airlines where there might be a contract of carriage where no one's going to read through, 25 pages, the passenger contract is quite important that you understand that, because it kind of gives the do's and don'ts. And it's kind of an FAQ for travelers to know what is and isn't allowed, just so that, you can do that casually. So. And we also have great duty free on board as well. So you don't need to bring stuff because it's probably going to be cheaper to buy it on board.
But yeah, if it's standard, it's going to be like 2 bottles. But you can always find out in the FAQs on the cruise line website. You can always find that. And you mentioned ballroom dancing. Do you happen to know how many nights of ballroom dancing might these people expect on a Christmas cruise in December? Boy, we're stumping you tonight.
If there's a 14-night, if that's a 14-night cruise, there will be 14 nights of ballroom dancing. We have ballroom dancing every night.
Every night?
Absolutely, every night.
Oh,
now, of course, it's really, really built up on those gala nights that we have, and the decor that we have over the holidays is stunning.
Oh, I bet it's gorgeous.
I almost went with that background. I have a wonderful, lovely holiday Yule tree.
It is Christmas in July. I mean, you totally could have done it. Yeah.
Exactly. I love that theme. But yeah, there is ballroom dancing every night. And one thing that's really important to know, I'm so glad to hear that question, because we are known for we have the largest ballrooms at sea on all of our ships. It's very consistent. Our ballrooms are in what's known as the Queen's Room, which is the central area where everything, all of the evening fun happens during the day. Our dance floors, for people who are actual strong ballroom dancers, we have sprung ballroom floors. So they actually give an extra lilt to true dancers. We also have professionals on board who give ballroom classes during the day and can dance with any solo travelers who might not have a partner to pair with for dancing.
Well, there you go, Tony and Elva, and thank you for the question. And Mark, thank you for the question on the alcohol. And
sure.
We're going to get to you, Alex, soon. We're almost there. We're almost up to food and entertainment. So just hang with me just a little bit. I would like to know, we talked about demographics. Deb brought up demographics earlier about it, but who does? I mean, who is that typical? I'm sure you've got some sort of who travels on Cunard.
Sure, absolutely. Everyone, of course, is welcome, and it's really, I think, the great value of working with a cruise specialist and with a travel advisor is they can help match you with. There you go. With
hello, I know one.
I know one too. That way. There we go.
Yeah.
The great thing about a cruise specialist is they can help you understand what's important to you, what you value, what you want to do, the kind of environment that you want to be in. If you do that sense of occasion, if you do like to explore, if you are traveling with kids who might be a grandmaster at chess and they really enjoy that kind of learning. We have 4 kinds of typical customers, if you will. Okay. The first one are Cunarders, and those are the cruisers who know and love Cunard. They sail on us often. They know the ins and outs, and they return to the brand. They're very, very passionate about.
I like that, Cunarders.
Yeah. The second kind is the cruisers who want more. So these are the folks who are used to premium brands, and they maybe are used to the midship experience. Sure. However, they have a special occasion coming up, a special anniversary they want to celebrate. Maybe they want to get married at sea, which usually does take about an extra 45 to 90 days to do paperwork. But it's that sense of occasion that comes with being on Cunard. Or maybe they've done Alaska 3 or 4 times and they want to know it a little bit better. They want an enhanced experience for whatever reason. So those are the cruisers who want more. They want to kind of go beyond those options that they've been used to. The third sort of category is non-cruisers who would love us. And maybe we have some of you out in the audience. You are an avid traveler, you're well-traveled, you understand and appreciate and value other cultures, and you like to see a lot of places when you do travel. I think of, at one point an airline may have flown to Bologna, Italy, because it was so central to so many different cities that you could get to by train. So you're visiting 5, 6, 7 cities on your trip. Mm-hmm. With us, you can do that. And the non-cruisers who would love us are the ones that maybe they see those ads on TV and it looks like spring break with belly flop competitions and belching competitions. And that doesn't quite sound like what I want in my cruise experience.
You don't have belly flop competitions. Okay, noted. I mean,
Do
we know
not. We
that.
do not
Okay.
that I know of. Things could evolve over time.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hope
And
not.
upon
Let's hope
special
not.
request, with the freedom, if someone wanted to do a spontaneous belly flop competition,
Oh,
it
there
just
you
might
go.
not be organized. I know other ships might have the cruise director who's, calling in every day and
Right.
telling you, all right, travelers, now we give much more opportunity to do what you want to. And I think that you don't have the cruise director, calling at 8 o'clock saying, all right, you kids get out of bed. It's time to stretch. That's not quite what we're about. So we're a different experience for that more cultivated traveler,
Mhm.
who again can also be relaxed, go to the library, etc., hang out. Then
Chill.
the fourth category, and hopefully there are some of these out there as well, those wanting the very best.
Mhm.
While we provide a luxury experience at every stateroom category, we have inside staterooms, which maybe don't have a window, an ocean view, which have a small view, and then most of our staterooms have balconies. We also have our suites. We have Princess Grill suites and Queen's Grill suites. The Queen's Grill suites are the ultimate in luxury. It's like the penthouse apartment. It's like
Ooh,
the honeymoon suite, if you will, the presidential suite in a
that's what you and I
hotel.
are going to be staying in when we go for
There you
sure. I
go.
can tell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those come with a load of additional amenities, including our Queen's Grill suites have their own personal butler. So anything and everything you
Nice.
need is right there. And
Downton
we'll
Abbey to a T. I love it.
absolutely, absolutely, with the dancing. And although you don't have to wear white lace gloves to tea. We do have afternoon tea, but I think we're
Okay.
coming to that later.
Okay.
But
Okay.
so again, so we have the Cunarders, the cruisers wanting more,
Mhm,
the
mhm.
non-cruisers who would love us, and those wanting the very best.
Wow. Wow. Now, I've always been curious. So you just said, what is it? The Queen's Grill and
Princess
the uh,
Grill.
the Princess. Where did those names come from?
So part of our history and legacy, we pioneered the transatlantic crossings. We pioneered kid zones on ships. A lot of
Right.
these things, Cunard was the first to have electricity on board. So the names of the grills in about 100 years ago, or maybe more or less,
Wow.
um, back in 1904, it was customary that for a very fine dinner, you would go to the restaurants that would grill their steaks and meats. So a
Oh.
grill was a high-end restaurant. And so there was this high-end restaurant, the grill or the grills, and then the staterooms that were associated with those high-end restaurants. And that legacy has stayed with us for over 100 years, which
Oh,
is why we
that's
call them
cool.
our grills suites.
I love that. That is so freaking cool. How about that, folks? A 100-year legacy tied to the names. It just like I was like, why are they called grills? That is so weird. But there you go. I love that, Mark. Thank you for
You're
that
welcome.
story. And folks, I'll remind you, I am Walter with Where's Walter Travel. We invite you to like, share, follow the channel. If we can help you in any way, reach out. Where'swaltertravel.com. There are links down in the description. We have been booking Cunard. In fact, I'll just interrupt here and say we've been booking some solar eclipse cruises for 2026, including one guest who's going 21 days or 21 days. Yeah, 21 days. She's going to go from New York to Southampton, then a 14-day, like you mentioned earlier, it's going to go up to Norway. She's going to see the solar eclipse in Reykjavik, Iceland,
Mhm.
and then come back to New York,
Yeah.
right back where she started. And the pricing and the value in Cunard is absolutely unbelievable. And all she has to do is fly from Texas to New York.
There
That's
you
it.
go. There you
And she
go.
gets on a ship. So we are starting to become more familiar with your ships, and I can't wait. I'm ready to get on the QM2 and go across next year. So I cannot wait to do that. So
And thank you,
uh,
because you pointed out something really important about the pricing, because in spite of being a full luxury experience, we build the ship based on the top most discerning customer or guest, but all of those amenities are
mhm,
open to all of our guests, even at the most entry level pricing. And our
yes,
pricing is consistent with what you might find with other we call them
yes,
premium brands, which is kind of that mid tier.
yes,
That experience can be very, very price accessible. It's important to point out that it's not like you're going to need to cash out your savings for 10 years to be
right.
able to travel with us. You would see the same, as you mentioned before, prices lower than even business class pricing for an entire week's voyage. And if anyone needs it later on towards the end, I do have some of the dates of some of those eclipse tours. It's essentially late July of 2026. So there's still plenty of time, although they're selling out quick. So
yeah, the eclipse is around August 12th, August 13th, something like that.
Yeah, so the voyage would start kind of late July, early August, so that mid-voyage it's right there.
But I've got multiple guests booked on those. One's going on the Queen Victoria, one's going on the Queen Mary too. So absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, folks, you know, again, we're a little bit intimidated sometimes. We see the white gloves, we see, you know, the type of service that comes on Cunard, and you're like, wow, that is so far out of my price range, I don't even want to look at it. You do want to look, because you just might be surprised when you start comparing Cunard with some of the other brands, and then you look at the value that comes with a Cunard cruise. And since we're there, and I know Alex wants to hear about the food and the entertainment, but first of all, why don't we talk about what is included with the cruise fare when we book the cruise, and then let's talk about maybe some of the food and entertainment that goes along with it.
Sure. Great. Yeah. You know, as we're talking about this understanding the concept, where do we fit in the luxury, ultra luxury space? There are other brands that are deemed or considered ultra luxury, and they generally are going to be much smaller. They're going to accommodate somewhere between 400 and 850 guests on much smaller ships. That intimate feel is great for some, but it doesn't have quite the same variety. Those ships may be, you know, 2 or 3 times the price and all inclusive, but that sometimes might mean that you're paying for amenities that you aren't necessarily going to use, and then they might still have add-ons for things like the spa, etc. So we try to really, again, balance providing attractive fares for that entry-level guest who really wants to just experience that luxury and that sense of occasion. And, you know, maybe someone's not a drinker, and so they don't necessarily need to have, you know, the beverages included or some other things like that. Of course, we do have, as most all cruise ships or voyages do have, dining. Your general basic meal is of course included, and the way that it works, the dining for us is we have multiple dining areas on the ship. Again, another advantage. However, you have sort of your primary dedicated dining room, and that is tied to your stateroom categories. So for the first category is the inside ocean view and balconies. We have the Britannia restaurant, and that is a nice, high-end, enjoyable dining space where you're given a menu with it's kind of a prefix menu kind of thing, where you might have a selection of 5 appetizers, 4 or 5 sort of soup, salad, mid courses, and then 3 to 4 main courses that you would have, plus desserts. And you can have as many or as few as you like. It's important to not load up too much, because you want to get a taste of everything. And if there's something you don't see anything on the menu, you can ask, is something else available? There's a kind of off menu options that are available.
Oh, the secret menu. I love it.
Kind of the secret menu. There you go. Tips and tricks by tuning in tonight. Then we kind of have what I like to, for those of you who maybe, you know the airline industry a little bit better, as I do, there was this kind of, we saw the emergence of premium economy. So we have that sort of balcony plus, and we call it Britannia Club. And so those are balcony staterooms, but they have their own dedicated private dining area. And the way that the dining works for the new folks that are with us, typically with the Britannia restaurant, you would have either an early seating or a late seating, and you have that seating for the whole voyage. Now, we've recently added anytime dining on the third deck. The main seating for the restaurant is second deck, and then third deck is open dining. So you just go in, and whenever there's a seat available, like you normally would to a restaurant. Sometimes that can get a little bit crowded depending on what it is, but you have, again, flexible options. Now with this Britannia Club, it's the opportunity you have single seating, which means that you have a dedicated table for the entire voyage. So if you wanted to dine at 8:45 or 6:30 or 7:15, you show up.
You just show up whenever you want. I like that.
And it comes at a very reasonable cost. There are additional amenities, and it's, you know, typically less or around $100 per day for the voyage. Again, with additional amenities. Then when we move up to the Princess Grill suites, the Princess Grill has its own restaurant, and the Queen's Grill has its own restaurant. We have tableside flambe. They'll make a Caesar salad right at your table, and all these things. And same thing with those. It is, you know, so you have your dedicated seat for the entire voyage.
Okay, Alex, you're gonna have to get
there you
the Princess Grill, Queen's Grill, so you can have the flambe every night. Love
Absolutely.
it.
Oh, yeah, lobster thermidor. And the thing that's great about really talking about that Queen's Grill and the experience that it is, they will make anything upon request. If they have the ingredients on board or enough time to go out and get them, say you have your grandma's favorite cookie recipe and you're really missing grandma because it would have been her 100th, you know, birthday, and that's why you're on the bush. We could give our chefs, you know, 2 or 3 days to make sure they have all the ingredients, and they will make your grandma's cookies for you. Anything upon request. That's the value of the Queen's Grill suites.
Oh my God, that is amazing. Alex, did you hear that? So the food is whatever you want it to be. Just give them a couple of days. That's all. Oh my God, that's amazing,
and
Mark.
Hopefully not even a couple of days. Hopefully there's just some items that are there.
Wow,
yeah, the Queen's Grill is just whatever you want. You know, what would you like to have for dinner tonight? Just let us know. And I should say that. So then, I guess the original question, because I love to chat, don't I? There are also additional options available. So with the dining, we have other free venues. We have a Lido deck, which we like to call family style dining, otherwise known as buffet. We only have one of those buffet type dining areas. But again, it gives you the flexibility to eat whenever you want to. There are items throughout the day. Lunch items might be brought on, you know, during that time period, some things at dinner. Very, very casual, hang out, whatever you're wearing, get it when you want to. We also have a, you know, poolside cafe, as all cruise ships will. So if you're feeling in the mood for that, but we try to customize whatever the menu is for each of these restaurants for the destination you're going to. So for instance, when you're on an Alaska cruise, you'll be able to get a clam chowder at the poolside cafe. Those are options. Then on top of that, we have this really awesome concept. So typically the Lido or family style dining is going to have, you know, just general seating areas. Just grab a table that's open. What we do is we take, you know, one side of the ship and half of that seating, and we close that off and we do a pop-up restaurant experience. So we have a specialty restaurant where we might have a theme. So we have bamboo, for instance, which might be Pan-Asian dining. There's a small additional surcharge for that. It's about $20 or $25 per person. And you get really just an amazingly uplifted experience beyond that. We also have a steakhouse called the Veranda, which is you can get 2 lobster tails, you can get any cut of steak. You know, you might get different kind of knives for different kinds of cuts of steak. It's a really, really superior immersive experience, which is wonderful. And then one of our grand favorites is the Golden Lion Pub. Again, we're that British brand, so we have a pub we have select brewed beers. You can get a shandy, which is a kind of beverage. We have fish and chips, some of the best fish and chips at sea, or a shepherd's pie for dinner. And that also is included for free. So you would pay for drinks and beverages, and then spa treatments and things like that might also come for. But the workout room, the workout areas are also included for free, as well as
you're going to need those after what you just described. Oh my, wow, that's amazing. And you know, we were talking a little bit about cocktails. We were going back and forth a little bit about cocktails, and you kind of told a funny story about the gin and tonic.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, I know you guys have drink packages and all of that stuff, but there was kind of a funny story about the gin and tonic. What was that?
So if you go into a bar, and there might be some people that may have had a different experience, but if you go into a pub or a bar in the UK, there might be a different way of how you might be charged for a gin and tonic. And bringing that tradition with us, I find that American or Canadian guests are sometimes surprised when they order a gin and tonic and they see a charge on their bill for the gin, and they see another $3 or $4 charge for the tonic. I ordered a gin and tonic, not a gin and a tonic. Well, that's just kind of how we do it. So again, it's that British flair that comes into things.
That's like a
And
Monty Python sketch almost.
right, exactly. I just, I'm so sorry. I'm so passionate about the brand, and I've been learning, and I'm so excited to share all that we have to do. And for those who might not be focused on alcohol, it might be recovery, never had a taste for it. We also have these really immaculate, mocktails are kind of really the hot thing right now. We have celebrity chefs and celebrity mixologists that have designed specific. We have an entire beverage menu that has alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages.
Love
We
it.
offer a small little canapé. So if you order a moonshine martini going to Alaska, it's made from Alaskan moonshine. And it comes with a smoked crab sort of crudité item that is paired with it. So it's part of that experience and that insight and that really experiencing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's real. So,
We didn't get to entertainment yet, so I don't know if there's more questions in there or how we want to, bring that in. I know time is short. We've only got an hour and 20 minutes left, right?
Right. That's it. Two more hours, and we're good. But no, I mean, if you want to jump into the entertainment, I mean, folks, if you got questions about the food, certainly jump in, and I'll encourage you again. If you've got questions about Cunard, go ahead and jump in. We'll do our best to answer them. And
I do see a question from Alex, and it's a great reminder. I sometimes forget what I have and haven't spoken about. Of course, what's the big thing that everyone knows about British culture, and I mentioned it with Downton Abbey, is, of course, afternoon tea. Afternoon tea is a really special experience. So thank you very much, Alex. We do offer scones and miniature sandwiches and all kinds of really great things. We have a standard traditional English afternoon tea, and that's held in the Queen's Room for hundreds of guests every day of the voyage. Then we also have a special, an enhanced afternoon tea, and that is held in we have a sort of champagne lounge, and that is just once per voyage, and it includes a champagne or sparkling wine in addition to the tea, and elevated additional. We have pumpkin scones and local delicacies that are paired with that. So
I love it. Is there an added charge for that one, or is that just
for the enhanced
enhanced
afternoon tea? I wish that I had the price list right there with me.
Oh, that's okay. As long as we know.
Probably I'm trying to remember if it's in the $30 range, $30 to $35 range.
About right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Yeah. That's about what it is on some of the other lines that have a different kind of an afternoon tea. I would think that you guys would probably be banned from England if you didn't serve scones with afternoon tea.
Well, I think we would be. It very well.
You wouldn't be able to come into Southampton anymore. That's all. Of course, the big question is, do you have proper clotted cream? That's actually the question we should be asking.
I believe so. That might be one of the stumper questions, because it might be because it has to, of course, be fresh. So it might be dependent on whether or not we are sailing from Southampton, or if we have a supplier who can supply a proper clotted cream. But my guess is that we probably find a way to get something pretty close to it.
I had to bring it up because my good friend Gary Bembridge is a big fan of Cunard. He goes on Cunard a lot, and he praises the fact that you have proper clotted cream. And then there's always, do you put the jam on first or the clotted cream on first? That's always the other big argument. I'm
a clotted cream then jam guy.
Yes, that's the right answer. I think so.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the currency on board? Is it US dollars or would it be British pounds?
Yes, that's another great question. It is worldwide, everywhere, and on board we do use that standardized US dollar currency. So waiting for a drum roll. I wasn't sure if there's like a drum roll sound effect like on Howard Stern, but yes, it is US dollars. So we will price the base fare in a local currency, which can be a little bit confusing because we have onboard credits as well. We have a lot of promotions and deals that offer an onboard credit, particularly when you're working with a travel advisor. They can usually get an even better deal than what's available publicly through their relationships. But yes, it is on board. It is US dollar.
That is truly.
And we did miss another question from Alex. He's sending some great ones out there. Do we plan to attract a younger demographic? And we do actually, we're always looking at that as the world is evolving. More millennials are coming on board. We do hope to, we're always hoping to be accessible for every demographic and every age that really believes in and feels a fit feels a connection to our brand, the
Mhm.
Art Deco. And we have, of course, with our new Queen Anne ship, there are so many new and modern sort of amenities and appliances that's going to really relate to folks who are into social media. For instance, we have Starlink Wi-Fi, so you're always going to be connected at high speed to
Right.
be able to, do all the things that you want to, as well as we have some beautiful, wonderful, stunning like LED screens that sort of shimmer and change as you walk through them. So we are
Beautiful.
definitely developing that. There is an opportunity, but we also are trying to strike the balance between staying true to our brand and our original roots and not
Mhm.
change too quickly, while also being available and accessible to younger folks as they're coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I'm finding is a shift, especially since the pandemic ended. But I'm really finding a shift towards looking for the best value out there, and it's not necessarily looking for the cheapest thing out there. People
Mhm.
are recognizing that, maybe if I spend a little bit more up front, what I actually get once I'm on the ship and the overall experience is so much more than, say, that $500 difference between this cruise and Cunard. It
Mhm.
just feels like such an elevated, and that's what I'm seeing. Even with the younger demographic, they're open to the Cunard now, because it's like, okay, there's a lot to offer on this, and I love that I'm just going to be pampered to like no end once I get on the ship. And so
Right.
I think that's how that younger demographic is coming. They're being a little bit more discerning with their money, and it's
Absolutely.
not just about going on that cheap cruise.
Well, and the thing that's really great, I think that there will be a natural evolution within sort of the younger demographics, because millennials are so focused on experiential travel, and
Hmm.
they, rather than buying things as generations before them may have focused on, it's all about something that's going to give me memories. I'm going to take pictures,
Right.
can I post this? And those experiences are a key part of it, and there are so many wonderful photo moments, so many
Right.
Instagrammable moments on
Right.
board our ships with the experiences. It's a
Yeah.
little bit like, people want to go to New York. What are you going to do? What are you going to see when you go there? Like, oh, I want to go to New York and I want to see a show.
Right.
Maybe see Phantom of the Opera. You might see an off-Broadway show, and they're going to be
Sure.
really, really great. But we've got that, high caliber of entertainment that is like the hottest Broadway show. We
Right.
have our folks on board come from the Royal Academy of Art, RADA. I'm sorry. There are a few different relationships we have, but it's essentially West End quality and
Sure.
Broadway quality. We have
Sure.
Juilliard trained
Wow.
level performances on
Nice.
board. I think that it's gotten better since the pandemic, but before the pandemic, I don't know that the cruise industry had really invested in top-notch performances and
Right.
entertainment. And we're really seeing a shift in that area, where you're now getting kind of, maybe it was a similar thing with Las Vegas, where Las Vegas maybe had originally been sort of the folks that had their
Right.
careers and they were doing their last hurrahs, and the entertainment has really, really spiked up. We are definitely part of that category, ensuring that we provide that. As we mentioned, we have and it's not just plays and shows and musicals. We have,
Okay.
as you're walking through, you're not going to have pop music blaring from speakers to try to keep you amped up. We are
Right.
going to have, classical musicians, jazz combos. We have live musicians playing in
Nice.
all of the venues. When you're walking through the grand lobby, you might have a harpist playing along, or there
Oh,
might be a jazz
that's
singer singing
cool.
some smooth jazz in the background. So
Yeah.
it's, again, that sort of inspiring kind of arts that's there, as
Hmm.
well as the ability to participate more than just watching. We want everyone to be able to participate. And how many cruise lines can you take a fencing class? But you can on Cunard.
Wow.
Another one of many things that you can do with us.
Mark, I'm telling you, when you and I get on a ship, there we
En
go. A fencing
garde.
class. Oh, we're totally doing that. Totally doing that. And then we're going to go get a gin and tonic and have a big laugh about it.
You can buy the gin and I'll buy the tonic. Oh, no, the other way around. No, I'll buy you the gin and you can buy the
I
tonic.
love it. I love it. And and that a lot of what you're describing kind of goes in with Alex's question about attracting the younger demographic, because there's a reason. It's when Downton Abbey is so popular and Bridgerton is so popular. It's not just older people watching it. There's this whole younger demographic, and then it's like, wow, there's
Yeah,
like a modern version of that right out there at sea that we can go experience. And suddenly,
absolutely.
Cunard is like, oh my goodness, it's like, let's go live what we're watching.
And we do it in all parts of the world. Thank you, Gary, for
Yes.
looking to clarify that, because we are more than just our transatlantic crossings. We have Queen Elizabeth, who's one of our sister ships, tends to sail from Alaska and then does a season, goes down to San Francisco. Traditionally had gone over to Australia and then spent a season, 3 or 4 months, circumnavigating Japan, and then transiting across the Pacific to sort of northern Alaska into the Inner Passage, and then starting the Alaska season. So that's going to be happening this year, coming up in 2025. But then after the summer 2025 Alaska season, Queen Elizabeth will transit the Panama Canal and have a full 7-month season in the Caribbean, which is new for Cunard. We've had a few voyages. We have the holiday voyage over New Year's, Thanksgiving Day voyage that we do.
I love Thanksgiving
nights out of New York. And then we also have other ships. Queen Victoria is really well known for also spending time in the Mediterranean, as well as Australia, and transiting the Indian Ocean. We have our world voyages, which sometimes go eastbound from Southampton, either through whatever passage to get over to Asia and then back. We have the westbound voyages that might come again through the Panama Canal. Queen Mary II will do her first passage through the Panama Canal, which has now expanded its locks. So her large frame is able to, gloriously go through there. And then Queen Anne, for her first year and a half or so, is going to be going again through Europe, the Mediterranean, Northern Europe, see the Northern Lights, Norway, British Isles. So we do really cover most all parts of the globe.
Wow. Yeah, they're pretty much everywhere, Gary, except for the poles. That's really where you're not at the moment. So one day, who knows?
Kind of almost the North Pole. We don't.
Oh yeah,
the North Pole exactly, but we go so far. We go further north than even Tromsø, Norway. So we do get above the Arctic Circle.
Gotcha. Oh, so we're almost there. So there's that whole ceremony or something when you cross the Arctic Circle. I can't remember what it is, but there's like this whole ceremony type thing that they do. And you've started talking about, are there any itineraries that you kind of want to highlight for folks that they should know about?
Well, of course, I would pick the transatlantic crossing, because that's a bucket list item for sure.
That's the best.
It's funny because so many people love to say, "Oh, 7 days. What am I going to do 7 days at sea?"
Oh my God!
Everyone who comes off of that for the first time says, "I didn't have enough days to do all that I wanted to do."
Right.
So we do also have our event voyages, and we have event voyages. If you are a fan of the symphony, we have our National Symphony of the UK does a special event voyage. We have literature themed voyages as well. Every few years we have a fashion themed fashion week transatlantic crossing. So do go onto Cunard.com or speak to your hopefully your good travel advisor about the event voyages that are available throughout the year. We have some around wellness, around food. There are a number of things. So those are some great ones. And really, Alaska and Caribbean are the two places that I'm really dying to get to next. We go to off the beaten track ports, and we try to schedule when we're in port. We get in a little bit earlier so we can get into town, really see it before it gets filled in, as the other ships are coming in with their 4,500 to 6,000 guests. That's kind of when we're getting ready to head out again at sea, and we visit off the beaten path places all the time as well.
Yeah, you're in a sweet spot. You're in that 2,000 to 2,600 sweet spot for Alaska. I think once you get over 2,500, 2,600, that starts to get, especially when you get up to 4,000 plus. That to me is too big of a ship for Alaska, especially to enjoy it. Two really good questions here. One, do we have any solo cabins on board? And what is the policy? I know I have seen like no solo supplements show up. You've had some solo promotions come up.
Yeah, I'm a solo traveler myself, so it is great. And we do have a limited number of solo cabins. We have really maximized our ship to focus on our venues and our spaces. So, part of the reason that our ships are as large as they are and have as few staterooms is trying to get that mix right. So we do have a limited number of those single occupant staterooms. And as we do like to provide that luxury experience, even our entry level insides, we tend to not call them cabins, but we do like to refer to them as staterooms because you're always getting that luxury experience.
Oh,
so 3 of our ships, no, it's all good. And so we do have that on 3 of our ships. Queen Elizabeth, Queen Anne, I should say, doesn't have the single person, but we do always have the option of sort of renting the entire stateroom, if you will. On some voyages, you might be able to get a single supplement for 175% of the 1-person rate. Typically, you will pay for sort of both berths. Within the industry, we look at it as berths or beds. So each stateroom will typically have 2 berths or lower berths, as we call them. There are some staterooms that might have some additional berths, and they're not like fold down bunk beds. It might be a pull out sofa. There are different kinds of arrangements, but we do really work within, our financials are built around 2 berths per stateroom. So we do have to cover some of those costs, because even though there might be some incremental costs around food and other things like that aren't included, there are other things that we still have to look at, all of our entertainment and paying our staff and salaries. So I will say that we tend to 1 or 2 times a year, we do have a special kind of flash sale for solo travelers. Probably usually around the fall rings a bell that there might be a
and
special.
it's a good deal too when it comes out. And then Gary's asking, do you have, so the Haven is on another cruise line. That's basically that ship within a ship experience. Do you guys have anything like that?
Yes. So I wish that we could own that ship within a ship concept, because I kind of love that. Like, that's really our bread and butter, because we really have that luxury and plus. So I like to think of it as like when you've got like the hottest club in town that everyone wants to go to, like Studio 54. Even Studio 54 had a VIP area. So with, of course, we're not going to pick and choose who comes on. I don't want to give it that formal kind of thing with the Studio 54 analogy, but again, you have that great nightclub, maybe say the Copacabana, for any of those Barry Manilow fans out there.
Wow, boy.
So another thing that I didn't mention with the Princess Grills and Queen's Grill suites, they do have a few particular lounges. So there's the Grills Terrace, which is a nice outdoor area. We have that has some al fresco dining for those restaurants. And we do have the Grills Lounge, so that you're able to have a private cocktail in a private space just before going in for dinner. So there are 1 or 2 areas that do have that. But again, we really want everyone to feel special on board. So most areas are not restricted, with a very few small exceptions.
Okay, and plus you're getting the butler service, you're getting extra amenities. So while it might not be a ship within a ship where you're locked out from the rest of the ship, you still do get those enhanced amenities.
Right.
Nice. Thank you, Gary, for that. My goodness, Mark, we've been going for an hour. How about that?
Oh my gosh, we're almost past an hour. My
goodness. Now, there were a couple of things that you wanted to talk about. And, in terms of itineraries, I have a note here about the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal, and you wanted to talk a little bit about that.
I just wanted to mention, for anyone who's going to be starting their voyage out of New York City, we, for many years, had been out of the Manhattan Cruise Terminal on the west side of New York. I'm in the New York area myself. We do use the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal, and it's important to just do a little bit of research beforehand. With all of the terminals in all of the ports in all the cities in the world, the cruise ships do not own those. So it's really important to, I think, set expectations, because sometimes the sort of check-in experience isn't always something that the cruise lines have control over. And there may be different agencies that might take over that experience at different times. And we try to do as much as we can to elevate that experience. But there's a portion of that time that it takes a little bit of patience, I think, to understand what that is, and to know that there are certain things that we might not be able to manage successfully in terms of, as a guest in someone else's home, we can't really tell them what to do. With the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal, it's in a bit of a remote area of Brooklyn. And so figuring out the best way to get there can sometimes be tricky. because of road closures, etc. We
Right.
recently had a ship inspection or tour, and it happened to be during the 5-borough bike tour. So a lot of roads were shut down, and it was a little bit tricky. There aren't any hotels that are right next to the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal,
Okay.
as you might see in other cities. Like in Vancouver,
Sure.
there's a hotel literally right over the cruise terminal.
Yeah,
there.
you just step right over. Yep.
And one tip or trick is that if someone lives in the area, think about the water taxis, because there's a water taxi stop about a 10 to 12 minute walk from the check-in area of the cruise terminal.
Okay.
So that's something to think about there. And please do have patience, because there are factors outside of our control. It might be the Coast Guard needs to come on and do an inspection of the ship before they allow passengers to disembark, or U.S. Customs. So there can be some things that are out of our control. So try to come with that sense of enjoyment for the challenges that you can travel.
Yes, I have encouraged patience for anyone who is sailing out of Brooklyn, because it is a slightly different experience than sailing out of most areas. And then you also wanted to talk about, just real quick, we've got two things that are moving around. You got Alaska Service is moving a home port. You already talked about the Queen Elizabeth, but you're making a change in Alaska.
Great memory. Thank you so much. I've forgotten what I'm. Again, so excited. I forgot what
memory.
I
know.
Thank you. Good notes. This is a good man. He's organized. That's what you want. You need an organized person to help you out here. He's gonna remember what you forget. So the 2024 season of Alaska departs from Vancouver. So for U.S. guests, that means Canadian customs flying into Vancouver, etc. And that changes things a little bit. So in 2025. Queen Elizabeth will be sailing to Alaska round trip from Seattle as our home port. And with that new season in the Caribbean, we will have a new home port out of, drumroll, Miami, Florida.
Ooh, Miami. Nice. The Queen's going to look good in Miami, I think.
Exactly. She'll have her sleeves rolled up. She'll be ready for the heat. She'll, do some maravilla and cha-cha. I'm sure we will have some Latin dancing on board during the Caribbean voyages as well.
That'll be awesome. I can't wait to start booking those. And Gary's going to get the last question of the night. How many ships are in the fleet? We talked about this earlier. And then are there any additional ships, you think?
We currently are very happy with our fleet. We have our 4 ships, and that's really a great size for where we are at right now and what we're offering. We can cover most of the world. We can be in a lot of places. We offer some variety while we still have consistency. So we currently are focused on this. The way that the new ships are brought about, we're part of a family. We're part of Carnival Corporation. So you have Carnival, you have Princess Cruise Lines, Holland America, Seabourn, and there are 4 others that are more known outside of the U.S.
Right.
So we're all part of a family. So typically our family will have one big ship order every decade or 15 years. And then they'll sort of figure out where does it make sense. And we're in a really good spot right now with Queen Anne coming on. Just as another reminder about how purpose-built these ships are, we have the right ships in the right places. We have heated pools in Alaska that some others may not. And with Queen Mary II, for those who really like that experience, we have something called a sheltered balcony. And if you see that category of stateroom, it's a little bit different. What it is it has sort of the metal enclosures. It's kind of part of the hull of the ship. And some guests really enjoy that sheltered balcony, because you can still sit out and as the waves are lapping, you can still, be in there, and you're sort of protected from the wind and things that the more open balconies might have. So that's a preferred thing. They're sort of on the edges of the ship that are there. So again, we're purpose built. We think that we're hitting the right spaces and places. We don't have plans in the works currently, but I'm sure that in a few years that may change. Gosh, I had too much Mountain Dew before this, didn't I? I've just been chatting and not letting you get a word in.
Hey, man. Hey, that's what the show's all about. They hear me talk all the time. So this show's all about you. Well, man, this has been a lot of fun. Folks, I hope you've gotten something out of this. I certainly have. I mean, what an iconic brand. I'm so honored to be representing the brand. I mean, when we first started representing Cunard, I was like, oh my God, this is like the coolest thing ever. The most iconic.
Cunard.
I am a Cunarder. Well, hey, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I'm Walter, your independent travel advisor. We can help you book your Cunard cruise, your Cunard adventure. Now you know it's not scary, it's not intimidating. Come as you are. It's a very welcoming environment on Cunard. They want you to come experience things, and you just might be surprised. You just might like that British style of cruising. So, Mark, thank you so very much for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
All right, folks. I'll see you guys Sunday morning. Actually, I won't see you Sunday morning. I'm going to be traveling to Cleveland. Hey, Mark, the cruise capital of the world, Cleveland, Ohio. You know, I'm
I'll
going up
look
there
for you
for some
there.
training. Oh, yeah, that's right. Folks, but I will be back, I think, Thursday night from Cleveland. I don't know who my guest is. And then a week from Sunday, we'll be back at 10:30 a.m. So, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Happy cruising, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Ta-ta.
Bye.